Welcome to the Power of Your Mind podcast. I'm Victoria Gallagher, your host. Have you been attempting to use law of attraction or hypnosis to attract financial abundance, a soulmate, or career success? Would you like to be happy, motivated, and successful? Have better health, enjoy more fulfilling relationships, overcome struggle, and gain mastery over your life? Then join me on this amazing self-help podcast where you'll unleash the power of your mind. I'll be sharing 20 years of wisdom and techniques of hypnotherapy, law of attraction, visualization, meditation, personal growth, positive affirmations, and other effective methods to help you tap into the great power which resides in your mind and become the best version of yourself. Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You're listening to episode number 81. I'm Victoria Gallagher, Law of Attraction coach and #1 bestselling author of Practical Law of Attraction, Align Yourself with the Manifesting Conditions and Successfully Attract Your Desires. I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist, founder of HipTalk.com and HypnoCloud apps, so be sure to stop by HipTalk.com, sign up for your free self-hypnosis video training course. And for our listeners who found us through the Power of Your Mind podcast, you can get 35% off your first order of hypnosis downloads when you apply the code podcast to your shopping cart. Also, be sure to download our latest HypnoCloud app in the iTunes store. Today, I have a very special guest with me for actually the second time she's been on my show. I think the first time was about a year ago, Christy Whitman. Christy Whitman is a transformational leader, celebrity coach, and New York Times bestselling author of The Art of Having It All. She's appeared on Today and The Morning Show, and her work has been featured in People magazine, 17, Women's Day, Hollywood Life, and Teen Vogue, among many others. Christy is the CEO and founder of the Quantum Success Learning Academy and Quantum Success Coaching Academy, a 12-month Law of Attraction coaching certification program. Today, Christy is going to share some of her insights about harnessing the power of your mind to find freedom from vices. So welcome to the show, Christy.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm appreciative of being here.
Yes, I'm glad to have you on the show. Our last interview was amazing, and I know our listeners loved it. And it was definitely the start of something new. I think you were the first person that I went from the platform of just doing my own thing and having to come up with content week and week and week after the week for the show. And this just made it, like a whole new thing where I would interview guests and have other people talk about how they use the power of their mind. And so, it was definitely the start of something new. So I'm glad to welcome you back to the show.
Well, thank you, and congratulations on all your success. That sounds like 80, you said 85 episodes?
This is episode number 81.
81. So that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It just took, and the show, should be a much higher episode number by now, but I just wasn't being consistent those first couple of years that the show came out. So doing this interview, it really does keep you consistent, and it just helps create a wide variety of content, for people, quality content. I only have quality guests like yourself on the show. So thank you again for being here.
Well, it's like anything, right? Consistency is like the key to any type of success, no matter what you do. And even when we're talking about law of attraction and success of any kind, it's doing something consistently to be able to receive the results. So if it's wanting to manifest something, consistently holding that vibration is what's going to bring it into fruition and bring it into manifestation. So it's fun to start the conversation there.
It really is. It's, and it is so interesting that you say that, because it really is the key to manifesting in any area of your life. If you set out to achieve something and then, you do it sporadically, or you do it, say you're just wanting to go to the gym and manifest a better body, and you start off and, you're really good with your diet and your exercise, but you're doing that once every couple of weeks. It's probably not going to yield you the results that you want.
Exactly. Can't do it intermittently. And it's like vibration. If everything's energy, and it is, you can't have like split energy towards what you want. You have to have a consistent flow of energy going towards the ideal partner, the success in the career, the pile of money, the better body, whatever it is. It's that consistent vibration of being a vibrational match to what you want that brings you the result. So it is one of the keys to absolutely being successful. So
absolutely. And that really kind of leads into what we are here to talk about, which is freedom from vices. And I'm imagining that consistency is definitely going to be a key in freeing yourself from these vices.
Yeah, so I do a vice freedom challenge several times throughout the year, because what I find, and since I've been applying the law of attraction for over 2 decades, been a law of attraction coach for about 18 years, what I see with myself in my own life and what I see with clients is that when we are relying on things outside of ourselves to make us feel better in some way, I don't care what it is, and there's no judgment on what it is, but vices are in the category of, it could be smoking marijuana, it could be smoking cigarettes, it could be, drinking wine at night or alcohol of any kind. It could be drinking too much coffee, eating too much sugar. It could be gambling, shopping. It could be, being addicted to having a vice with our phones, with our computers. There's so many things that we look towards to make ourselves feel better because we're not happy and not feeling good enough or satisfied inside of ourselves. And so we go to reach for something to give us that extra feel good experience. And what happens is that just the idea of that next cup of coffee, or that next handful of M&Ms, or that next shoes that we're going to go shopping for, or whatever it is, the idea of that thing brings us a sense of relief, because now we're focused on something, not on ourselves. So we're not happy with the state. Maybe we're feeling tired. So that coffee, let's just use that as an example, that next cup of coffee, that's going to be the thing that makes us feel better. So we put all of our focus on that thing. We go and get that thing. So we drink that cup of coffee. We may feel good in the moment. And then after it's over with, it's like, now we're searching for another thing. So it's not that cup of coffee. Maybe it's another cup of coffee. And each time what it's doing is it's pulling us out of not being present in ourselves. Because as we both know, vibration in the now tells you where your point of attraction is. So if you're using a vice to pull you outside of yourself because you're not feeling good, you're not feeling satisfied, you're in a space of lack, you're in a vibration of lack, and this thing that you're reaching for as a vice is only going to temporarily give you that sense of relief, but your vibrational set point is where it's at. So you're going to continue to vibrate in that place instead of being able to work with your own energy to let go of the vice. Say, you know what? It's not the cup of coffee right now that's going to make me feel more energetic. What's going on inside of me? Is there an emotion that I need to process? Is there a thought that I need to shift? Is there a place where I just need to bring in be the receiving mode of a better, higher vibration, and be able to do that? Because the solution to everything that we ever want is more alignment with our divine self.
That makes so much sense. And I was just going to ask you, I think you might have answered the question, but maybe you could elaborate on it a little bit more. How does a person know if what they're wanting in that moment, if they're reaching for something, if they're using that to make them feel better, or if it's just something that they do, that they, like I drink coffee in the morning, for example, as a natural part of my day. I don't know, honestly, if I'm like looking for that to change my state. I just enjoy it. So how does a person get in touch with knowing if they're looking outside of themselves for this this pleasure, this temporary pleasure, this happiness?
Great question. Because again, as I started, there's no judgment. It's not like, oh, coffee's bad, or
right.
all sugar's bad, or all alcohol's bad, right? People would turn me off right away. It's like, it's part of our thing, right? It's like, what
right,
she's talking about,
don't something on that
right?
list.
Yeah, exactly. No, what we're talking about is the difference between being in alignment when you go to reach for those things, or being out of alignment, being in a place of not feeling good. So expecting those things to provide some type of relief, some type of, something that you're not already experiencing. So you wake up in the morning, you're feeling good, you're like, ooh, coffee time, and you have your coffee, and you're just so in the moment and so in alignment, and you're enjoying that coffee, right? Absolutely. That's from a place of alignment. Great.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. You're not looking for, oh my God, I feel so horrible. I need this thing to make me feel better. Right.
Like if you come home from work, you've had a bad day, and you're like, oh my God, the day was miserable. I need a drink.
Or a joint, or I need to go shopping, or I'm just going to totally, play games, or, be on my phone. And, there's so many things where we're just not feeling good. We're not feeling aligned. So we look for these other things to either have us escape ourselves, or to try to take our attention away from the fact that we don't feel good. Right. So it could be like, oh my God, I had such a crappy day. I need a beer. Right. It's like, that's not being in a space of alignment when you go to reach for that beer. Now, if you're at a baseball game, you're at this, it's hot outside, you're with your friends, you're in a good mood, you're like, ooh, a beer sounds good, right? Yeah. It's like, let's drink a beer. That's a very different experience than, it's just such a bad day. I need a glass of wine.
Right. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. So it's really the place that you're in before you take part in that activity. If you're out of alignment and you're reaching for that activity, your phone, your video game, that's when you're looking outside of yourself to have something else generate a feeling in you. And I can imagine, you're going to suggest that that's just, it's not sustainable to live like that.
Well, you can, and most people do. That it's like that Pink Floyd song, Comfortably Numb, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, but if you truly want to be an energy master, if you truly want to be deliberate in what you create, if you want to live from a different kind of consciousness and awareness, away from struggle consciousness or victim consciousness, and live into a space of abundance, that's where you really have to pay attention to, how am I feeling as I'm reaching for this? Right? Am I in alignment or not? Because the key to everything is first alignment, and alignment always feels good. So let's break it down from an energy perspective. We know now that everything is energy, and energy exists in manifested and unmanifested things. And how we think of anything in our lives, whether it's a relationship or money or career or a project we're working on, or our bodies or anything, when we think of something, if we're feeling bad or we have thoughts that are negative, we are in lack. Now, if we're feeling good and we feel expanded by the time we think of that person, place, or thing, then we're in abundance, right? That's great. Continue that, because that's going to reap you more of good feeling experiences and more of what you want. But if you're in a place of thinking negative thoughts, feeling negative emotions, you're in lack, which never feels good to an unlimited being. And from a spectrum, no matter what you're wanting to create in your life, if you're feeling, thinking, vibrating in lack, you will never attract what you do want in that subject, money, success, whatever it is, because you cannot attract abundance or positive things from a place of lack. It completely defies law. So the law of sufficiency and abundance, we have to find that middle ground. Where's that tipping point? It's finding that place where we're satisfied, find that place where we can look for positive aspects, where there's a sense of contentment, where we're content, where we're starting to move in the direction, because then that makes us, our thoughts, our minds, we open up to feeling good. This side of the spectrum doesn't feel good, and it will never give us the what we really are wanting to receive in our lives. And this is the place where most people then reach for the beer or the joint or the cigarette or the game or the shop, the credit card or the whatever it is, because they're not happy. So they're looking for something. We're naturally beings that want to feel good, right? So we're thinking that, well, maybe it's this thing, maybe it's accomplishing something else. Or maybe it's, getting a husband or another, I have my first kid, maybe that didn't work. Maybe it's the second kid. We're always putting stuff outside of ourselves, and we do that with our vices. Now, one more thing I want to say about that. We don't only have external vices, we also have internal vices. So, for example, someone might have a vice, a habitual way of being that is competitive or comparative. Mm-hmm. That's also coming from lack. And it's like it's a temporary relief of, well, I'm thinner than her. Ooh, I feel good, right? Oh, wait, I'm fatter than her, and now I feel bad. It's a one up, one down kind of scenario where we're trying to make ourselves feel better, but it's not working.
No.
Or it's a complaining. Mm-hmm. There's a habitual way of complaining, worrying, just all of those ways of being, comparing, competing, looking for what's wrong and bad in situations, looking for everything 10 miles down the road of all the worst things that could happen, all things you don't want to happen. These are also internal vices. So we have outer vices and we also have inner vices. And when these habitual ways of being continue to perpetuate us being in lack, we never can create what we want.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I totally appreciate what you're saying about, it's a certain way of thinking that that's very destructive, that we can get almost like addicted to this dramatic way of thinking, or this judgmental way of thinking, or this critical way of thinking, or whatever it is. Those thoughts are only coming from lack. Now, the question is, that came to me, because it seems that I don't think people deliberately know or intentionally know that, okay, I'm in a state of lack and I'm feeling this way. And so therefore I'm going to reach outside of myself and grab this cookie or grab this tea, whatever it is that they think is going to, or I'm going to think like this. And not only that, because they're not even aware of it, and these times in their lives, these stressful moments, they become triggers. They become a trigger to automatically, because now you just inserted some sort of a dopamine rush, right, that you're probably getting from feeling this way. So now you've got this trigger like automatically associated with this way of responding, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So how do you deal with that? How do you number one, become aware that you're even being triggered in the first place? And number two, how do you change your automatic behavior? If you find value in this personal growth related material, I strongly recommend that you sign up for your $1 trial to my Personal Growth Club. Just head on over to personalgrowthclub.com and get a whole month of premium Personal Growth Club video training materials, meditations. You also get 6 free hypnosis sessions that are valued at over $174, all for this trial of just $1. Even if you cancel, you can keep the 6 hypnosis sessions. That's my gift to you, and that's how confident I am that you are going to love Personal Growth Club. Go to personalgrowthclub.com and start your $1 1-month trial today.
Okay, so great questions. That's why I created a whole entire program around this, because and that's why I do the challenge. I do a 7-day challenge talking about each of the universal laws, taking one vice that you have and bringing you through it, because there's information that most of us we don't know. We're unconscious that we're doing. How we know we're doing it is if you drink wine, say every single night, whether it's just a glass or two or maybe more, and then you wake up in the morning and you feel horrible because you had a bad night's sleep, and then you're now beating yourself up. I know I shouldn't be drinking that wine, but it always relaxes me. It calms me down. It makes me feel better. When your vice that you assign makes you feel better in some way, it's a vice.
Mm-hmm.
And when that vice no longer helps you feel better, so whether it's like, oh, I'm just going to smoke a joint to take the edge off, but then you're hacking up a lung, or you can't get up in the morning, or you're feeling unmotivated, or just feel like you've lost your zest for life because you're just now kind of like numb. That's one thing, right? When you're hacking up a lung because you're smoking your cigarettes, when you're feeling that almost hangover effect, or you can't sleep properly, or you just have no motivation, or whatever hormonally, even for women, is going on because of the alcohol or the sugar or the caffeine, any of these things, we know when we're doing something on a habitual basis, like, oh, I really want to get in shape and I want to get back to my ideal weight, but I keep eating these donuts, or I keep buying candy and eating candy while I'm in my car, or I keep, buying these coffee drinks full of sugar, just to give me that boost at the end of the day because I'm so tired. So we know what behaviors or what things we're consuming or doing that it's like, here's the cycle. We're in shame of some kind. We don't feel good about ourselves. It might sound in our head, I'm tired. And that tired might be because you feel you have stuck emotions that are pulling you down, making you feel sad, or you're frustrated with something. So you feel tired, you feel drained. Mm-hmm. So you think, okay, well, I'm tired. That's the go-to. I'm just tired. So I need the Red Bull, or I need the coffee, or I need the sugar, or I need something else so that I'll have energy for the rest of the day, or for whatever else I'm going to be doing, right? So, but it's this shame that I'm not where I want to be. I'm not feeling how I want to feel. There's something wrong with the way I feel right now. I need something else to make me feel better. So even though I know this is not good for me, I'm going to use it because I'm going to consume it because it's going to make me feel better. So you drink it, you eat it, smoke it, whatever it is. And then you're done with it and you're like, now I feel worse than I did before. And you beat yourself up. I knew better. I shouldn't have done that. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not feeling good about where I'm at right now. So let me go to reach for something else. Sometimes a lot of people have multi-vices because this one works for now. Then that one, I need more coffee after I smoke the joint, or, whatever it is, right? Now I'm tired.
or overeating, or all of that.
Yeah.
So what can we do instead when we notice I'm feeling this tired, or this stress, or whatever it is that it's triggering us to want to do that? What if we can get in touch with that feeling of being tired and just say, okay, I realize now that every time I'm tired, I do this. What can I do instead? What can that person do instead?
A lot of things. I actually give about 45 different suggestions during my program, the Vice Freedom Program. And the thing is, though, is that most people are just not even aware that they're doing it, right? Mm-hmm. They just know that they're feeling bad about it. So it's becoming conscious that, okay, I am assigning how I feel outside of myself and thinking that thing is going to make me feel better. That's the first step. Mm-hmm. And once you can have that level of awareness, then say, okay, instead of grabbing for that coffee right now, let's just use coffee as an example. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. I feel like I'm needing a sugary coffee drink. Instead of reaching for that, I'm going to sit and I'm just going to breathe for a couple of minutes. I'm going to connect with myself. I'm going to process whatever emotions I'm feeling. Most people don't want to process their emotions because they're scared of emotions. Mm-hmm. So if you just sit with the energy, instead of calling it an emotion, just sit with the energy and feel yourself. Allow yourself to take a couple of deep breaths in. Allow yourself to just fill up and understand that everything is energy and that you can connect with the energy you choose to. We're always in receiving mode of energy. It's either from our physical plane or from a higher level. And we could just call in. I would love to feel, instead of feeling tired right now, I'd love to feel energized, or I'd love to feel joyful, and call upon, because ask and it's always given, energy always follows us. if you ask for the vibration of joy, you just allow yourself to receive it, close your eyes, feel joy coming into your body. If you do that 68 seconds later, you're not going to want the coffee because you're going to feel like I have another solution. I make suggestions instead of reaching for the thing, reach for a glass of water. Turn your attention and focus on something different that's going to be good for you. So for example, water is a really great replacement for something else, and it actually energizes you more than coffee does. Coffee depletes your liquids, right? And can dehydrate you. Whereas water, if you just take that time to sip the water, think of what you want in your life, be mindful of that, focus on how you want to feel, it creates a very different reality. It also suspends the urge. Mm-hmm. And when you can start to focus your mind, you not only stop your vices, you become more of a deliberate creator and become the energy master of your life.
That's great. And going for a walk in nature is probably, this morning it was really peculiar. Like I woke up this morning and I started the coffee and I didn't want it. I wanted to go for a walk first. I wanted the coffee, but this morning, for whatever reason, I didn't want the coffee. I just wanted to go for a walk first. And so I just listened to that. It's like, this doesn't make sense. I always have my coffee and then I go for a walk. But I just that was what I needed in that moment. But, and the thing is what I picked up from what you said is the energy is always changing. It's always changing. And like you said, people are afraid that they're going to get stuck in that emotion. They're going to get stuck if they go ahead and just allow themselves to feel it. If you allow yourself to feel it, that's the quickest way to get over it.
Yes, unless, and this is because I teach this in my Quantum Energy Mastery class, if you go to feel your emotion and you engage your head, then they are constantly, connecting. The thoughts create more emotions. It is a constant, it's an activation. When you learn how to isolate and completely just focus on the pulsation of energy that's in your body, you don't even have to name it, tell a story, describe it, don't get the head involved. When you just focus on the emotions. So say, for example, you're going about your day, someone says something to you that just pisses you off. You just feel this sense of this whoosh of anger, right? It'd be really easy to sit there and stew in it. And you know what else that person did? And, think about all the other times they said something rude to you, or this person too, and yesterday that happened, and
that could just go on and on.
Forever. And that's why it does, because we don't properly process the emotions. So here I am, I'm angry, and now I need that cup of coffee, or that, I'm so pissed off that guy said this to me, I need a glass of wine, right? Instead, take that whoosh or that thing that someone said, isolate the head and get into the emotion and literally just feel the anger. Feel it. It's like keys on the piano. They all have different notes. If you just find that note, pulsate with that note, it actually gets bigger and bigger, and then it starts to release. No emotion ever killed somebody. Right?
No. So it's like a meditation in a way, you're meditating on the physical, biological, chemical sensation that is happening in your body and disconnecting from the thought. And if you have it, and I think that's what makes emotions so intense is we say, oh, I have anxiety. You don't even say it, but you notice you're sad, you notice you have anxiety, you notice you're stressed. Well, why am I stressed? And you have to put some meaning to it. And that meaning attaches yourself to it.
Yes. So you just brought this up. So I'm going to say this. Anxiety on one end of the spectrum and depression on the other end of the spectrum are actually not emotions. Anxiety is an over amplification of an emotion that has not been expressed. So fear, anger, right? It's now you're over, right? So there's some people on the side of the spectrum that feel the anxiety, whereas other people feel the suppression of the sadness. So now they're depressed. So either depression or anxiety, it's like, hey, let's just take a pill to get rid of it. No, there's energy going on inside someone that they are not processing their emotions. Let's just face it. Most of us don't have a high emotional, intelligence, because of the fact that we didn't learn from our parents. I know I didn't learn, sweetie, I know you're angry. Just sit with yourself for a minute and feel inside of your belly, and the pulsation of anger right? It's like, what do you have to be angry about? Or if I'm crying,
you just get invalidated. You should, stop crying, or
Right. Little girls shouldn't be angry. I mean, I loved my grandma so much, but she said, you're acting just like your father, and you shouldn't be feeling angry. And I love my grandma's the sweetest ever, but or my mom would be like, why are you crying? You got a great, if you keep crying, I'm going to give you something to cry about. It was like, emotions are not allowed. Because they're not understood. But when we want to really master getting out of victim consciousness and moving into more of a deliberate manifester, and then ultimately becoming understanding that we are the divine channel in this lifetime, like we are here as a human being, not to just struggle and to have, this just get by kind of attitude or be affected by the things. We're here to literally create with the divine, to have a wonderful life of giggles and fun and joy and creativity. And we're finally designed to have supportive and loving relationships, and have health and well-being, and to have abundance of all kind, including financially, and to be able to have really creative ideas flow through us and have like everything we touch turn to gold, because we're not competing with each other, because the divine that breathes me is very different than the divine that breathes you. And that's really the consciousness that's coming now. It's like, we're here to make manifest what the divine wants. We're here as a vehicle, a vessel for that divine. But when we're stuck in our emotions, when we're stuck in our negative attitude, the divine can't flow when we're stuck on vices and we're looking to other things. We're in the drama triangle looking at, I'm a victim and this glass of wine is going to be my rescuer. And then we beat ourselves up for drinking the wine when we knew we shouldn't, because now we're not sleeping. That whole vicious circle is so out of alignment with how we are meant to and designed to live our lives.
Yes, it's blocking all that good stuff from being able to even find us.
Yes.
So what do you suggest that a person do to really start getting on the path to, to changing their circumstances with regard to this?
I always say when someone is really starting to want to change their life, the first thing you have to understand, everything is energy, right? So we're energy receivers. We're either receiving from the environment, from the divine self, or we're receiving. We're receiving. We're also energy generators. And so we generate energy by the thoughts that we think, the perspectives that we have, what we say, what we do, how we feel. First place I would start is watch your words. You have to watch what you say, because most people are saying things, the words they're using are pulling down their energy. And when you start to become aware of the words that you're using and how they don't feel good and what to shift them instead, then you actually feel better. I got so many people ask me, well, how do you start? What are the words? That I created a free 30-day program that you can go to watchyourwords.com. It's a video every single day for 30 days. It tells you the word that you absolutely do not want to say and what to say instead. So for example, awesome. For example, I can't afford it. That just feels crappy.
Yeah. Right?
Well, it's true though, really, because if you believe that and you keep saying that, that's going to perpetuate your reality where you can't afford anything you want. Instead, be mindful of it and say, that's not a financial priority for me right now.
Yes.
Well, Christy, what about my rent? That is a financial priority for me right now, and I can't afford it. Well, it's because your best thinking got you to where you are in the situation. So we need to start changing the language and the vibration around it, or your situation won't ever change. So here I am, the rent is due, I don't have the money, you're continuing to say I can't afford it. What if you started changing and shifting, going, I have faith that the money will be there. I'm going to keep doing I'm going to go to work, and I know that the money will be there. I know that I have divine supply that will provide me what I need. As you start shifting your language, just your words, you start shifting your emotional state. And when you shift your emotional state, you start shifting what you reach for, the vices, because you no longer are feeling bad. So you have to have something that makes you feel better. So shifting your words, watching your words is the first place to start.
I think that's such a great idea because people have no idea how disempowering their conversations are. And if you could just start to realize that we have choices, beginning with just the way that we speak to ourselves. And it is a priority. There's always a choice that we have in the moment. And if we could just take ownership over that, the choices that we're making and the choices that we have made, if we can say where I'm at is as a result of choices that I've made, then guess what you get? You get to make choices about how you want the rest of your life to be. And I love that. And it really does. I totally agree with you. Definitely starts with watching and becoming aware of what it is that we're saying to ourselves. So you had mentioned earlier that you have this Vice Freedom Challenge. I want to know a little bit more about that. Hello, this is Victoria Gallagher. I hope you're enjoying listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast. As a way of thanking you for listening, I'd like to offer you a one-time discount of 35% off your first order at hiptalk.com. Just go to hiptalk.com and enter the code podcast in the discount code area in your cart, and you'll receive 35% off your first order. Thank you so much for listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast.
Yeah, so for me, it's really about becoming aware, right? When you have an awareness that there's a thing that I do, whether it's eating sugar at 2:00 in the afternoon, or I just can't seem to quit smoking, and I know it's not good for me, or I like to smoke, some pot, or I like to drink my wine, or whatever it is. I like to take people through a dedicated time where they're taking that and really putting under a microscope their relationship with this thing that is kind of like a love-hate relationship, right? I love doing it, but then I feel bad about myself doing it, right? Or I like doing it, but everybody else doesn't like me doing it. And I'm, and they're kind of shooting on me, like, you should stop, right? So there's this energetic relationship that we have with everything in our universe, whether it's with money or the vices that we use or anything. So it's an opportunity for people to just look at and examine one thing that they want to change or that they want better. And I take them through each day. I teach them about the 7 essential laws. Each day is a new law as it relates to their relationship. So it's like, I don't even tell people, listen, don't come to the challenge and say, okay, I'm not going to do this for 7 days. Continue to drink the wine at night if you want to. But while we're going through the challenge, let's examine what you're thinking about that thing, how you think it makes you feel, what emotions you're suppressing, all those different things, so that you're becoming aware of it. And then we actually go into the Vice Freedom program, where it's like, okay, you've got the foundation, you've got the information. I'm giving you tools how to replace reaching out and turning in here, or reaching for other things that actually do make you feel better, empower you. Now it's time to just say, just for today, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try these other tools. And I've had people that for years got off wine, stopped smoking, start smoking pot, stop using their phones that much, stop gaming, stop shopping. I mean, the list goes on, because they're becoming more aligned and more empowered and actually feeling good about themselves and changing their lives.
This sounds really like an amazing program. And the reason why is because I loved what you said about they don't have to come to the program expecting that they're going to have to deprive themselves of something that they don't feel they can do anything about right now or get rid of. Like they might feel superficially or whatever, they just might feel like they're not ready or
Yeah.
they don't want to give that up. But at least now it sounds like you are bringing some massive amount of awareness to why they're doing it, what's making them do that, how to move forward from that. Because, if they're even thinking about this program, if they're even listening right now, clearly there's something that they want to change, that they, maybe they haven't admitted it out loud. Maybe they haven't admitted it to themselves. Maybe they haven't admitted it to somebody, but there's something there that that they want it, they know that they want to change. But like you said, you don't have to come to the program ready to okay, we're going to do this right now. And it's very gentle. It sounds like a very gentle process of taking them through their thinking about this. And it really does start there, doesn't it? A person has to get this unconscious reason not to do something. They can't just think something consciously and all of a sudden, boom, I'm ready to give it up. It has to come from within.
Absolutely. And the reason I am doing this now is because for years I was beating myself up because I had so many different vices where I didn't feel good about myself. Years ago, it's been 26 years now, but I was a smoker. I was a pack and a half a day smoker since I was 16 years old. So I smoked for almost 10 years, a little over 10 years. And I started this process with myself as it related to cigarettes because I tried everything. It was the hardest thing to this day I've ever had to do is try to actually stop smoking. And, from soda, whether you call it pop or soda, totally addicted to soda as well. Had that as a vice, had to have that every day. Coffee, I no longer drink coffee. I was sometimes 3 or 4 cups, sometimes going and getting Starbucks 2 or 3 times a day, that kind of vice. Marijuana, alcohol. It wasn't like I was an alcoholic or that I couldn't control myself, but I needed wine every night, right? I needed something every night. And as I started to apply this information for what I did many, many years ago to easily understand myself and then understand what I was craving and then replace what initially was the cigarettes, to be able to be free of that, all those things that I consume, sugar. Oh my gosh. I shared this in the Vice Freedom program. I used to drive around with one of those tubes of icing in my car. And I would, just to get a sugar rush.
Wow.
Because I was needing something, right? And so these things, I think about that now and I'm like, that's so gross, but it's that's what I did back then. And all of those places where I was reaching outside of myself, like everybody else, are an opportunity. The reaching out is because we're wanting something, we're needing something, we're craving something, we're hungry for something. And nothing out here will ever give us what we want. It's all inside and up. And that really is it's kind of like we're looking for that donut to fill a hole. And it's like that donut doesn't fit. It's like there's the divine presence. And when you really get that energetic fulfillment and stop reaching out here and reach upward, which is a solution for every problem, whether we're having dysfunction in relationships, with money, with our careers, with vices, whatever it is, that's always the solution when you learn how to properly do it. It changed my life. It's changed thousands of my clients' lives. And so I've been doing this Vice Freedom Challenge now for 3 years. And it's remarkable to see when someone finally gets the unconscious connection and energetic relationship, and therefore physical relationship with their vice, when they understand it, when they could cut the cords to it and have a completely different relationship with it, they're free. I mean, they're no longer a slave to that vice anymore.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and for sharing the things that you were addicted to and that you've gone through, because I think it makes it a little easier when a person hears that, like, well, you've been through something, and here's the process you went through. This is a process that clearly worked for you. It's worked for all of this isn't like a scientific experiment that you're trying out for the first time on people. This is something, you did for yourself. You allowed other people to experience it. And now we're able to really get the word out about this vice freedom challenge. And, hopefully the people that are listening now can join on your next challenge. So how does this work? When do you do it? Is it, is it a one-time thing, or how does this work?
No, we do them several times throughout the year. I always do the first one January 1st through the 7th, and start off the year right, or at least in a good foot, right? A good energetic foot. But we do them now several times throughout the year. So even if you miss maybe you're listening to the recording or something of this and you're past the January date, it will come around again. So you can just go to christywhitman.com, and I'll have information on there right at the top when it's time to enroll. If you go to watchyourwords.com and start practicing what your words are, we'll notify you when the next one comes around as well.
Oh, that sounds great. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, just that we really are supposed to. It's our divine design, just like we're, divinely designed to have 2 hands, 10 fingers, 10 toes, a nose, a mouth, a spinal cord, a brain, a heart. None of us are walking around with tails or, big floppy ears, right? It's like we are all divinely designed as human beings. So we all have that imprint, and yet we all have that unique look. I mean, you and I happen to look like sisters, but, some people have brown hair, some people have blonde hair, some people have blue eyes, some people have brown eyes. Our faces, don't look like the same. So even though we are exact in some ways, we are very different. It's both and we also are divinely designed, not just in the physical, but in the energetic realm, to be able to have health and well-being. Our bodies naturally know what to do. It's designed that way, to be able to have financial abundance, so that we're not struggling. We're not coming from struggle mode. We're coming from thriving mode, where we get those divine desires and ideas and be able to work with co-creating with the divine, to be able to masterfully put out a project, a book, a painting, whatever it is, a business, a product, a service, whatever it is. And then to have those loving and creative, supportive relationships with one another. And that's really what it is. And it's a matter of getting back into what is natural, the natural order of who we're supposed to be, and not fighting against who we are. And our limitations, our programming, our imprints, all of those things, that's not who we are. That never feels good. It's not who you are because it doesn't feel good. It's limited, doesn't feel good to an unlimited being. Those imprints can easily be released so that you can naturally return to your divine design and have your consciousness move from things are happening to me to I get to design my life and receive all literally the treasure chest that is mine to enjoy. That is not anybody else's. You have your own unique treasure chest with your name on it, and can never empty it out. It continues to fill back up, and nobody can take from it. There's no competing with it. It's yours and yours alone, but most of us are not tapping into it. And so that's what I'm here to help people do, is tap into your own unique treasure chest.
That is beautiful. And I resonate with that so much. What you say, really is all about getting a person into that alignment so that they can have more of the abundance that we are designed to deserve and attract into our life, and get rid of the stuff that doesn't belong there. And we can release that. And we're designed to be able to release that. And we're designed to be healthy and happy and abundant. So I really, really love your message, and I love having you on the Power of Your Mind podcast. I just want to remind the guests that they can go to your website, ChristyWhitman.com, and you can also find Christy on Facebook at it's facebook.com, Christy Whitman International. And be sure to go to Christy's site and sign up for the free, is it a free challenge or yeah.
It is. The first 7 days are,
yeah. So the
Vice
first
Freedom
7
Challenge.
days. Yep. The Vice Freedom Challenge. So be sure to go and sign up for the free Vice Freedom Challenge. And also watchyourwords.com is the other challenge. And that goes on all the time. That you can just sign up for that and at any time, and you can.
Those are videos. Yep. So there are videos that come every day, and you get like a 2 to 6 minute video, depending on the word and the description, every day.
That is wonderful. How generous of you. So definitely, I encourage you to go there and sign up for the 30-day Watch Your Words Challenge and then 7-day Vice Freedom Challenge. Thank you so much for your generosity of this information and just giving our listeners some amazing advice and about how to break free of these things.
Thank you so much for having me, Victoria. I always enjoy our time together.
Thank you. Me too.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends. And once again, be sure to subscribe to the Power of Your Mind podcast if not already. We can be found as Hip Talk on all our social media accounts. So like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and sign up for your free self-hypnosis video training course at hiptalk.com. Be sure to subscribe to the Power of Your Mind podcast, and you'll be instantly notified the moment the next podcast becomes available. Also, please be sure to leave a rating and a review to tell us how you're enjoying these episodes, and that way you're making a contribution toward others getting to share in this valuable information. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. You've been listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast, brought to you by HipTalk.com, Personal Growth Club, and HypnoCloud apps available at iTunes.